Welcome. This session is for ambitious scale-ups who want to find out if they're ready to rise. Upcoming 45 minutes, you will learn everything about the program, what we do and what we don't. But it's all based on your questions. If you take examples like Silicon Valley and Israel, what you see over there is that CEOs help each other. They truly help each other. They open doors, they make connections, and they have a connected system for this. What we do with RISE is that we bring together the Dutch top scale-up leaders in a trusted environment. They openly share their challenges. They learn from each other, but they also learn from experienced entrepreneurs who've been there before. We are confident that we help to accelerate growth by removing blockers. And we really dare to shake things up and believe that we can build this trusted community of peers. The RISE program is exclusive. It's only for those who really want to go big. My name is Charda, and I'm in the lead for RISE. You won't see me on stage after this, because it's my job to find the best who can really add value for the scale-ups. And therefore, I brought Diane, founder from Wisenose, and also participant of the first batch, Joe, our great entrepreneur in residence. And last but not least, Katja. In daily life, she's part of a scale-up too, but now she will be your moderator. Katja, as in the tradition of RISE, please introduce yourself. Upcoming 40 minutes are all yours.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Charda. Thank you for the invitation. As Charda said, my name is Katja Berkhout. I'm a general manager for Flightboard, an Australian scale-up company, and today I am your moderator. Working in a senior management team and with a responsibility for the European market, I've seen the challenges in scaling a company. We're active now in 80 different markets, including all of European markets as well. So I'm very curious today to hear about the ways that RISE program is helping entrepreneurs tackle those scaling challenges. Over to you, Diane. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Diane Janknecht, and I'm the founder of Wisenose. And with Wisenose, we're trying to find the best information on the internet and offer that to students of all ages, matched to the curriculum. So we're started here in the Netherlands, and then we went to the UK, and I recently opened Wisenose Delhi in India, and next is the Middle East. And I joined the RISE program in the first batch.
Thank you, Diane. Over to you, Joe.
Okay, Joe Wilson. I had 5 of my own companies, so started and scaled. 2 of them made it to scale and exit, 2 not so much. And then I also spent 14 years with Microsoft running multi-billion-dollar divisions, so quite a lot of experience in the very early and then the larger, and then we bring that together in the program.
Fantastic. And your formal capacity with the program is entrepreneur in residence,
That's right. I probably should have mentioned that. It's entrepreneur in residence, where I spend time directly with the companies and the challenges they face.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joe. So our setup for today is we have some questions prepared ahead of time. As I mentioned, I'm also very curious myself to learn more, but we also encourage our participants online to send in your questions via the webinar. So please don't hesitate to send us your questions. I'll be receiving them here live, and we'll loop them into our conversation here on stage. So all right, I think that's it. Let's dive in and learn more about RISE program. So Joe, to kick that off, for who is this program? Charda gave a little bit of a brief, but can you describe what type of entrepreneurs and companies you're looking for?
Yes, sure. And I think Charda did a great job setting the stage for, there's a level of exclusivity to this. It's not for every startup. In fact, it's not for startups at all. It's for scale-up companies, which means you meet a certain criteria. But I think we can give you the numerical criteria. The more interesting part is probably, what that particular CEO has to be ready to learn and ready to share and ready to be fundamentally challenged, because the only way you're going to grow is a challenge. So think of this as companies that are at a scale level. You're probably about to raise your Series B maybe, or your late Series A. You've got 20 employees or so. You've got a run rate of revenue. No need for profitability, but we're looking at companies that are scaling and that want to break through.
Okay, sounds good. Are you looking for any specific type of business models or industries in your program?
Well, I mean, I mean, like Diana's company, as an example, you have a model that is somewhat infinitely scalable, meaning you can continue to grow and you're not bound by a lot of sort of hard asset pieces. But not any particular model is right. I mean, we'll look into the biotech, possibly as a theme. We'll look into health tech. We'll look into SaaS companies. You're really looking for those that are on their way but need help to break through, and then we'll try and group them together with light companies.
All right, sounds good. And what about those leaders that are applying to be part of the program? Because my understanding is it's designed for the leader in a company, the founder, maybe the equity owner of a company.
Well,
what type of mentality do you need to bring to the program to be successful?
Think of it as the operating founder or the CEO C-level suite. And I really don't care about the titles, to be honest. I don't care at all. I just want the people that are responsible to get shit done. Good. That's the one that matters the most. And then they have to, those few will be able to participate. They have to come, again, as I said, willing to sort of be, I don't know, what's the right word? They have to be willing to share. They have to be willing to get that. So the fact that you're a CEO, we don't care. If you're a CEO who really wants to put it on the table, share the problem, get help from other CEOs, we're looking for you.
Okay, sounds really good. So every quarter a new batch of RISE starts. Yes. And my understanding is the aim is to bring around 250 companies through that program in that cycle up until 2023. So is it 10 companies per batch? You mentioned the exclusivity element. These are small batches, right?
Yes, we won't work with more than 10 at a time. I think one time we did 11, and it was really special. We happened to have like an extra company that made sense to be there.
Right.
But for the most part, no more than 10. Otherwise, I mean, you could speak to this as well. The dynamic would just get too much, right? It wouldn't be manageable.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So Diane, congratulations. You made it into that exclusive group of 10 companies.
Thank you.
The
I'm
first
very proud
batch
of it.
Of RISE.
Yeah.
How did you come to the program, and what were your expectations coming in?
Yeah, I still remember very well because it was exactly a year ago. I was by that time in London, talking actually to the lady who represents the Dutch embassy in London, Lieke Konijn. If you ever want to go to the UK, you have to talk to Lieke. I mean, she knows everybody in the UK, and she actually told me. She said, "Diane, do you know there is this RISE program coming up for scale-ups, and I think you should apply." So I said, "Well, I didn't know, but I'm taking a look." That evening, I applied when I saw the criteria and the goal of the program, and it has been a joy and a pleasure ever since. And I'm extremely happy that I was part of the first batch.
Sounds really good. What were your impressions coming into the program with the people that are running the program as well, and what you were expecting to get out of that engagement with the team of Techleap and RISE?
Yeah, well, like Joe says, as a founder in a scale-up phase, you are going from one challenge to another, and very often many challenges at the same time. And the ones that really understand what you're going through are the founders. And so the selection that the Techleap team did to find likewise founders who are in exactly the same phase as you are, that was the biggest asset there was, to talk with that group of 10 founders all going through different challenges, but the same pain, and then the combination of meeting, some of my role models, right? Entrepreneurs who did it and who are much further in their roadmap, and telling you that they went through the same challenges. And then thirdly, it's being moderated. Well, in my case, it's moderated by a challenging guy, Joan, sitting next to me. Oh, that was amazing. And the interaction and the vulnerability that you're showing, it's just, it's really helpful to have that talking group and to share your challenges and to hear solutions.
It sounds really good. We'll go into that a bit more in a moment. But before we do, I think it's also important to set expectations with people listening in. Is this a program where Techleap takes equity in a company? Are you investing money? What are the criteria there?
Yeah, no, none of those things. I mean, the criteria is you're a Dutch company, You are, as I described already, some requirements in terms of the size. The word I was looking for was vulnerability. So you hit it. That was the right word in terms of the leadership has to be vulnerable. But it is, again, targeted at a certain, you've made a certain level of progress. This is, maybe easier to describe what it's not for. So if people are listening and you want to save some time, wait till you're a little further along. This is not ideation. This is not an accelerator, an incubator. It is none of those things. It is for a company on its way. And it's about getting the rocket fuel that sends you into orbit. So think of that as I described it before with those requirements. And if you're if you're a startup and you're just getting going and you only have a few employees and you haven't really learned the product market fit, it's not time for you. You want to be much further along than that when we engage.
Yeah, true scale-up companies and scale-up mindset as well. As you mentioned, it's also coming in with that mindset to grow the company as well. Diane, you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, no, because it's really true. If you're too early in your roadmap, in your growing state, the challenges that will be discussed will not be applicable. So then it's really not the best asset of your time. And everybody who's starting a company has one challenge: lack of time. So you really need to be in that phase where you have your team, you have your market fit, and you're ready to scale, right? And then you recognize all those horrible things that are happening in that phase.
Yeah. So we actually have a question coming in from one of our participants. Do you have a schedule of the thematic focus of upcoming RISE batches? For example, will there be a deep tech class?
I think there's a lot of definitions of deep tech. So we could split deep tech into a number of different areas. We will rotate, at least for this coming year, we'll rotate between a generic, so a non-theme and a theme. And I'm not going to pre-announce any themes that haven't been announced. So just know that we just currently selected a new batch, which is in the generic. So we tend to see inside of that your classic, startup model like SaaS companies and things like that, and some fantastically, really amazing and impressive companies that are in this batch that's coming up. I think maybe it's been announced that someone can tell us. I think we've announced who they are already. But the next one will be a theme-based one, but you'll have to wait for the announcement of that theme. So just think of it as rotating between theme and generic. So there's always an open call, and then there'll be a specific call, on the following quarter.
Yeah, so maybe one interpretation of deep tech also has to do with hardware or software and different types of scalability of that company. For instance, I'm actively involved as a manager of a hardware company that also has a software platform, and you see different challenges there, I suppose, than a SaaS company.
The
so do you split those up, or do you keep
the batch
them together?
before this one, we did sustainability as the theme. And inside of that, we saw a lot of what you would consider by that definition deep tech companies. They were hardware focused. There was years of research that had gone into. And this is a different type of model that needs a different type of nurturing. So we want to put that together and treat it differently. So we do try and gather that together as much as we can, because there's a longer run with this definition of deep tech in order to get to market. And once to market, you tend to work in relatively specific verticals. And so it's a different go-to-market rather than, like with Diana's company, they have quite a large market available to them. And so they're going to pick and choose what they go after.
Yeah, sure. And if we take a little bit of a deeper dive into the program and how it's built, I think some of the building blocks are really around insights, content, connection, and promotion. I think those are the main cornerstones of the program, set up for scale.
Could I invert your question? I want to add a question if you don't mind. One of the things we haven't discussed yet is, why? Like, why would we do this rather than some other thing like an accelerator or an incubator, right? Yeah. And I just want to put it out there. Look, you can make a choice on where you want to make impact, especially when you're an organization like Techleap. And you can either focus on what's blocking things. So, I wish we had more money available here or this, or that. Or you can focus on what you have to work with, like playing to your strengths. The RISE program is one of the ways that Techleap is playing to strengths. So find those companies who have an absolute opportunity to break through and show the world not only great technology and great business, but also what the Dutch market can do, and focus on helping them go. And that's a shining light for others to follow. So we're in the RISE program working against this get behind the drivers strategy. So we find companies like Diana's company and then try to help accelerate that. I don't know if it makes sense.
No, yeah, and I think that every Dutch entrepreneur knows that if you want to go into the worldwide on your own, there is no chance. We're way too small, right? So if we are coming together and are getting a bigger voice internationally and rising on the countries from being like recognized as good startup or scale-up countries, that really helps. That helps a lot. So combining forces, I think that's what you mean, Joe, is like a necessity to do.
And can you give an example of how that coming together would work for you and through RISE as well, what you've seen?
Yeah, well, it first starts by getting much more confident that the challenges that you're facing are actually challenges that 8 out of 10 are facing. And so you're not alone, right? All the time you have to do this by yourself and think like, or with a partner, but in a small group, you think like, oh, am I the only one making this mistake? And then you talk in that group and it turns out that everybody is facing that. So that is really helping you in your confidence. But then, besides that, the PR that's being done by the Techleap team is just amazing. And so I really don't understand that. Sometimes people are telling me like, oh yeah, I see you on the internet with this PR, great for you. That's not my goal. This is just marketing. The only reason why I want to do that is to get more customers to do my business in a better way. So it's an amazing marketing tool, especially when that group is getting bigger and bigger with really inspiring other founders and entrepreneurs. The message gets stronger and stronger. So it's really a business proposition as well. It's not just, drinking some coffee and, oh, nice to meet you. No, it really helps me accelerate my business as well.
Fantastic. That's really great to hear. So at the level of the program, how do you sort of create that environment where people connect in that way and sort of build that long-term relationship and trust amongst each other to share these challenges? The word vulnerability has come up. Obviously, that's a vulnerable discussion to be had in a group like that. How does that work in the program? How do you create that?
I'll answer the program, and then you can say the experience. This is one of the really sort of center design pieces, because we know, I think Charlotte mentioned that there are other ecosystems out there where the founders, they come together organically and they create sort of a force multiplier in the industry. Silicon Valley does this, Israel does this, there's a number of other places that do this quite well. And we want to help that happen, but that's one of the components. First, we have to start with everyone getting comfortable with each other. Yeah. So we have to find ways to sort of make, and I'm not talking about like cheesy icebreakers. I mean, people have to come with legitimate issues they're facing and be willing to share them. And once they share them, and I think Diana just, look, 8 other people had the same exact problem. You suddenly realize, oh, I'm home.
Yeah.
I'm now sitting with my brothers and sisters who have the same freaking problems that I do, and maybe someone I can talk to about this.
Exactly.
And it's not therapy. It's about business issues being discussed, and you get the advantage of 9 other points of view who have found some other creative solution that you didn't have, and you can apply part of that and make it your own. And at the same time, we're also bringing these sort of Dutch icons, people that have really run these like companies to global levels, and asking them the same questions. The exact same question from the same moment, and they're like, oh yeah, crap, I remember that, and this is what we did, and it blew up in our face, and then we had to go do this, and all that comes together in a very, what I call an NDA environment. It's very much like, what happens in RISE stays in RISE. We don't have, none of that information is allowed outside of those sessions. If someone were to leak that conversation, instantly they're going to be out because we can't trust them. We have to have a safe place.
It's very much a high trust environment.
It has to be.
Well, so I was really blown away by some of the speakers who are absolutely icons. So Michiel Muller from Picnic, really opening up about his data strategy. I was like, oh, wow, I have so much to do to get to that level, but the vulnerability he shown about the steps he had to take. The same with Pieter van der Does from Adyen. I mean, I think the biggest success we have right now in the Netherlands. And Pieter really listening to the questions and saying, oh, I recognize that. I went through the same. It was painful. It will be painful, but you will get through it. Or Ali from Bunk. Ali, there's no stopping with Ali, right? He's really genuine and passionate, and to hear those icons deal with the same challenges that you are dealing with on micromanagement, in my perspective, that really, well, every time I had those sessions, I was on my bike back and I was so inspired, like, gosh, I have to go 10 times faster, but everybody does the same, is facing the same.
Yeah, that's really inspiring. We've talked a lot about role models in the Dutch startup ecosystem in the past years, and to have that access to role models that are potentially an example for you, or maybe not an example, but you can learn those lessons and make them your own and apply them to your own situation.
But that is something for the audience, because I do want to emphasize, you will get many, many suggestions on how to manage your business. And of course, you know best how to manage your business, but you have to be open and really see the added value of getting those advices from other people who don't know your business. So with regards to the deep tech question, honestly, I think it's completely irrelevant, because in deep tech, you are facing 80% of the same challenges as non-tech. You know, well, non-tech maybe not, but
at the business level.
Yeah, at a business level.
You got to hire people. You got to create structure. You got to get funding. You have to like find a way. Get product market fit's eluding you. All these things.
Yeah, exactly. So, but if you're not open from somebody, so I'm in the edtech business, but I received the best feedback from somebody in the fintech business who doesn't know anything about edtech. It doesn't matter, but you need to be open and not think, yeah, but that's a different sector with different rules.
Yeah, so again, that's a really big, important mentality to come into a program like this as well, that openness and willingness to learn and challenge yourself, I suppose. Yeah, you don't have all the answers. This is an opportunity to get more.
Right.
A different strategy.
But it's a signature of great CEOs. Let's just be honest, right? The willingness, the emblazoned paranoia for learning is a signature of great CEOs. You can take everyone from Musk to whatever, choose your icon that you want, and you'll find that they just had to keep going and they had to keep learning, and they were not allowing their own ego to somehow block the success of the company, which I think happens all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Sidetracking a little bit, because we have another question that just came in. Great program. So there we have our first positive feedback.
Hey,
Indeed. Is there a cap on the criteria, i.e. max sales number or people, investment raised, etc.? I think you've talked a little bit about that.
That's a good question. Can you be too big for the program? Yeah, absolutely you can. I think it depends on how far along you are. There's quite a wide range from the minimum to the maximum, and it depends on sort of the key issues that you're facing. This is about growth and putting in the structure. Like I like to say, this is about designing the business. If you want to build a house, if you design a house, you'll build a house. If you design a skyscraper, you might build a skyscraper, and it's a very different set of plans. And so it's really about where you are in that process. So I don't think of it as there's something being too large, but it's pre-exit, so you can't have had an exit, and it's going to be within a range so that you're matched well to the other companies that are in the.
I don't know if the example between house and skyscraper is the right one, because we all want the big skyscraper.
But the plans are different. That's the point, right? Like if you make that simple plan, you're stuck. And this brings me to one of those.
So the house is not the right one. I thought you said that the skyscraper is too big. No. Oh, okay, all right.
As long as it's not Nasdaq listed yet, I think we can do it.
Well, I mean, exit can be defined a few ways. One of the things that we run into in this is the mentality. We had this discussion in your batch and in every batch, is what is it you're trying to build? And there's a humility in the Dutch culture about, what we don't want to say we're going to make a big unicorn or make billions of dollars. That's not important. We want to have a good quality business. And yet, we want to support companies that want to break out and become global powerhouses. So you're going to have the dream of building something extraordinary and large in order for us to engage with you. Because if your dream was to be a quaint Dutch company, you wouldn't be in the program.
No, I wouldn't.
Great.
Wouldn't benefit.
I'm going to pause there for a moment. I think it's a great time to have a look at RISE in action.
Great.
The RISE program is awesome. I think it's so inspiring to be with all these fast-going entrepreneurs. There's nothing else like it.
So today is Connection Day, so it's all about making connections to scale us faster and bigger than we would do otherwise.
Everybody had 3 minutes to do their best, and then 4 minutes Q&A. So we had a stage, cameras pointing to there, a bunch of people dialed into the Zoom. And we basically got the questions pouring in via the Zoom chat.
So, the RISE program in 3 words. I think inspiring, ambitious, and fun.
So it was really nice to align and to share experiences with other entrepreneurs and to really see that it's similar and to learn from people that did smart and not so smart things.
Favorite moment of the RISE program so far? It must have been the expert session with Michiel Muller from Picnic. The way he made it look so easy to actually grow a business that big was just so inspiring.
Oh, my favorite moment from the RISE program is definitely Connection Day. No, we had really, truly great people we connected with, and also the people you normally can't get hold of. Right? So even if you think of CEOs, big companies, health insurers, for us then specifically, and that was really, really the best moment so far.
Yeah, it's been great to be selected, and I think also going forward, we hope to also give back a little bit of our experiences to the other startups that will join the program in the future.
So we just looked at Connection Day in the RISE program. Right. What is Connection Day? Obviously, people in the video talked a bit about that, but where does it sit in the program?
This is good. We can get 2 versions of the answer, I think, because you experienced it and we helped architect it. There's a series of sessions that we run, 1 per week, and 6, 8 the total, and they cross a number of topics. You look at things like talent, you look at capital, you look at operations, intellectual property, etc., go-to-market. At the end of this, we want to create an exclamation point. And to be fair, this is not an ending. We don't end this program and then say, oh, thanks for these sessions and goodbye. It happens to be a moment in time where we want to have an exclamation point. Connection Day is about you telling us, between partners or investors or possible even customers, who would you like to hear you, to see you, to be present in something that you're doing that you might be struggling to reach. And we'll use Techleap's connections and sort of the power of the organization to reach out to these organizations and invite them to this day. And we'll have a Zoom, in this case, full of all of these people representing different types of audiences. So when you pitch on Connection Day, you're not actually pitching to one thing. You're not just doing an investor pitch or a customer pitch. You're really pitching the company and yourself as a whole. But we've been able to gather this super powerful audience for you to tune into and make it very easy. And then we literally go through and help make the connections. Actually, on the one that you were in, they happened in the chat, like in real time for some of the companies.
Yeah,
but that's what we intended, maybe what you experienced.
Well, no, so first of all, the team of Techleap has a quality that I haven't seen before, and that resonates in the network they have access to. Of course, Prince Constantijn plays an important role, right? Being the
special envoy for Techleap.
Exactly, that's the word, special envoy. But also the rest of the team, so Joe is very, very connected in the US, but actually also here in Europe. But many, many people are connected, and the strength of a network is everything you need. So what you get out of Connection Day, it really depends. I heard Meryl say that it was for her like a very, very great moment. Meryl, she runs Nicolab, and they were really looking for an investment at that time. For me, from an investment perspective, it wasn't that needed because I just closed a round. So for me, it was more to be connected to ministries of education, like really high-level connections. So it really depends, but it's all about network and defining what do you need, and then talk to Joe. Joe, get me a minister of education on the line, right? And so only one connection could be more than enough.
Amazing. So actually another question came in on that, and this one is for you as well, Diane. It's really, what was your personal highlight of the program?
Oh, wow. Oh, that is a very, very difficult question because honestly speaking, there were so many highlights. I remember during those sessions my sweaty hands all the time, but in a positive way, right? But when listening to those big inspirational founders, icons, talking about their challenges and then realizing like, oh crap, it's so high to get to that high, to that height, but I can do it. So I can't really name one, but the connection between the founders itself, of the 10 founders of batch 1, and then also being involved in batch 2, and again meeting incredible founders, that is a highlight. The vulnerability to So one of the challenges I had, for instance, was that I gave away a seat title too early in my early years. And when you grow, roles are changing, right? So, but I really like the people. I don't want to lose them, but I have a problem with getting rid of the C title. And that was suddenly a common theme that everybody was facing, and the way they handled it. And then Joe, you know, being ruthless, saying, "You have to deal with it tomorrow." Okay. Well, those highlights are really very inspiring, and it helped me to run the organization in a more mature way, I would say.
Yeah, great. So we've talked about growth blockers before, and what are some of the growth path blockers that you see? And maybe some of them were challenging for you, and you've superseded them now with the sort of the peer network support and the RISE team support.
Yeah, so one sidestep was that, you know, you're constantly trying to see, do I have the perfect product market fit, right? And is the product market fit exactly the same in the UK or in Asia or the Middle East? And then we also had that session with McKinsey, who was just diving into how do you have a deep knowledge of whether you found the right product market fit. And I think that everybody is always claiming, yes, I've got it, but then realizing, oh shit, no, not really. And then you got, and so to hear those experts with their kind of models of how you can identify how to handle with those roadblocks is really very helpful. Simultaneously, I was approached by Deloitte. Deloitte looked at the batch number 1, and they said, "Diane, we want to talk to you because we think we can help you." And of course I said, "Well, that's great, but I can't afford all those high rates of you. So if you really want to help me, we have to talk about that." And they immediately were willing to do that. So there are so many examples of not per se that 1 hour, or no, it was 3 hours, 3 hour session 10 times.
Felt like an hour, so that's...
It felt like 20 minutes, I'm sure.
I know, yeah.
It does go by quickly.
Oh, way too quickly, way too quickly, yeah.
That's really great. Thanks a lot for sharing that. And I think an element of what's happening with the RISE program, and also today, this is a recruiting event too, right? It's an opportunity to share what the RISE program is about, how you've experienced it, how you've sort of taken valuable insights and you know, steps to further success and scaling your business. So for the people listening today, can you talk a bit about what happens after RISE and with that community? Because it sounds like, you know, there's a real deep dive, there's a lot of trust, you build a peer network. Also, you mentioned, you know, this community is going to be really relevant for the Dutch startup ecosystem at large as well, because it is, you know, a network that you can tap into when you're going to a new beach market or you're expanding your company, and it's a platform, right? So how do you keep that community feeling? And you mentioned coming into the second batch after finalizing your first batch. Is that part of the alumni network, and is there a giving back aspect to RISE?
So yeah, I would say, and then I let you, but it's absolutely a balance of give and take, right? If you're in this to only take, it's not going to work, right? Because that's not how it works in a network environment. It's taking and giving, but also taking, of course, and you're being offered a lot. But I'm inspired by giving back to other founders, because that is just the energy I get out of them. And being in a completely different sector, it doesn't matter. It's just inspiring. So I would say that if you want to join, you will get a whole lot of advice and great information, but you have to make time to give back, because that balance is pretty...
So the give and take is really important
Correct.
as well, and that's part of the mindset, I suppose,
Well, I
that
think-
you're looking for.
I mean, you capture the spirit of it perfectly. So it's like I couldn't say it better myself.
Well, thank you.
That's excellent.
Hearing that from you, Joe, you're not giving that compliment very often.
No, not at all. But you're in that category. So I mean, Diana captures it perfectly. You are expected to, like, once this is, we don't charge anything. There's no equity. It's all about the benefit of the ecosystem. But guess what? You got to give back. You got to spend your time and energy back with this audience when the time is right. We've asked Diana to do a few things. This is not your first time to come back and give. But there is also a structure to this that's not just freewheeling. So we are launching very soon an actual community platform for only the members of the program, so you'll be able to contribute and work inside of that platform. In addition, we will create opportunities to not only make sure that you reconnect with the batch you're in, but you will connect with the other batches. I mean, the more that we connect the entrepreneurs, the more powerful we can help each of them. So that if you're in the program, they expect that to be a requirement, and then also expect it to be a structured way to bring them all together in different ways around content or around opportunities and events when we can do them in person.
And how does that loop into the strategies that Techleap has? For instance, access to markets and talent and capital are really sort of key cornerstones of Techleap as well. So will the RISE program sort of be a network of companies that also get those opportunities to be supported in their access to markets as sort of a follow-up trajectory?
Yeah, I think you raise a great thing. We've been sort of centered in and focused only on the RISE program. But Techleap as a broad endeavor is again also focusing on these drivers, as I mentioned. And the different elements, access to capital, talent, technology, going international, those are the ecosystem evolution that's being created. It's the bigger effort, the longer sustainable. It's not just the 250 companies that we're working with. So we're in partnership with those efforts, and each of the people who lead those efforts are connected to and operating within the RISE program. And RISE becomes in some ways not an experimental space, but an opportunity to apply those, what the capital group has learned and put in effort can now actually apply to the RISE group, directly, and then help the ecosystem broadly. So they're quite connected, the two things, but just remember, RISE is only one thing that Techleap does, and there's a much larger thing at play with the ecosystem being moved fully.
Yeah, but it could be a great way into connecting with Techleap and the team for other opportunities as well.
Yeah, each of the groups have things that they will do in their individual space, and then also with RISE.
Gotcha.
So if I can add to that, I really like the quality that the label Techleap brings, right? So and I also like it that there is a selection criteria to really find the best of the best. So everybody knows that Y Combinator, for instance,
that's a brand name, right?
It's a brand, and I see the same possibility for Techleap to know. Okay, if you're part of this Techleap group, you're part of the Dutch
Premier Edition.
Yeah,
Premier League.
Yeah, the Premier League, a Dutch startup, scale up.
Champions League. Actually, some more questions have come in, a bit more practical as well. What is the time investment throughout the program? Obviously, an important question to ask to an entrepreneur.
I can say what theoretically is, but you can answer what you actually have to apply.
Yeah. So it starts by, I think, 10 sessions of 3 hours. I was lucky that we were in that middle time frame where we were able to go to the location itself. But so that it starts there. Then you have quite a few assessment sessions about how you're doing, and that needs preparation. And then you have the sessions. I had them twice with you, Joe. Joe offered his services as well. So then you're talking to Joe about certain challenges, and then you have the informal networking. Again, the give and take. So sometimes you spend an hour on listening to somebody else's his challenge. So it's a bit what you want to do yourself, but from a minimum, it's 10 weeks, right? 10 weeks in a
the
row.
formal program.
Yeah, the formal program it's only 10 weeks, and
that's
then
beginning
only
to end,
one day a week.
Day.
Yeah, not even a morning a week. But I wouldn't go into the program with that attitude.
I mean, and it's always booked in the afternoon because it's easier to manage an afternoon appointment, into an early evening than it is to try to take it in the middle of your business day. And Diana mentioned, like, I'll do myself as an entrepreneur in residence. We also have Franz as an entrepreneur in residence. We will spend individual time with the companies, just really going through some of the challenges and issues. You talk about it as my services. There's no cost or anything involved.
No.
I mean, and people like Franz or like myself, I mean, I spend 10 or 15 hours a week with Techleap. I have a company that invests, and I have portfolio companies of my own. So I'm actively in the business with other companies. So we bring all of that into these discussions. We're not faking it from 20 years ago. It's the real stuff right now. And so I think that's important to know maybe that's the quality point. That's the information we're trying to put in front, not the theoretical stuff.
Correct.
Yeah. Maybe bridging, because we're in our last 3 minutes of this conversation. Actually, a really good bridging question here. And I'd like you to loop in your pitch for people listening in to maybe put forward their really good portfolio companies. I know there are a number of investors listening in, some regional development organizations and funds, but also the entrepreneurs that are listening. So the question is, can you share a success story of the RISE participants? Diane, in your case, this could be your own success story. And I think tying in with that, how does the RISE program sort of made that possible? Do you want to start?
Yeah, so when COVID started, right, the RISE program started the moment that COVID started. And so that was a challenging situation for all 10 of us. Even like in my situation for the edtech sector, in the end it turned out to be like kind of almost a positive thing from a business perspective, but starting in a COVID time is challenging. And all of us were looking at our run rate, what happens if the entire world stops, and of course looking at fundraising. And so to me, it turned around in a month's time because my fundraising suddenly turned into like this massive success. And the way I could talk to the founders about how am I going to do this? Can I raise too much? Do I give away too much equity? How can I increase the value, the valuation, of course? And Joe tipping in and other founders calling me in the evening. Don't be afraid to go for a bigger amount and stuff like that. That was such a success story in feeling empowered to do a few big bold moves. So, yeah.
That's
that
amazing.
Was in the early days when we started.
Yeah, very powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
10 seconds, because I know we're short on time. That is the example. We're 1 year into this program. The successes are going to come in the important moments. Fundraising, hiring that right person, getting the product market fit locked, and then understanding what it means to organically grow or change a sales process. We are seeing those with first batch, second batch already. COVID batch, we had a COVID batch as well. So I'd say there's 20, 30, 50 moments like this already. There's more to come.
Fantastic. How do people stay connected with RISE and the application moments? What is the best source to look for information?
The Techleap website is the center of all things RISE, and you can find the application process and the dates and the timing and all those things right there. And there's a whole team behind that does a selection process and runs an AI against everything is there to start and sort of look at that. So I think it's Techleap.nl is the place.
All right, that's really good.
Go to LinkedIn, Twitter, all social media as well.
You'll find us. You'll definitely find us. You can't miss us.
Are you open to those phone calls, and are other batch participants open to those phone calls for people that are interested to maybe have a conversation?
Let's start with email, depending on the volume. But I mean, certainly everybody's open to kind of answer questions. And again, we have a team that starts with that. But I mean, if you hit me on LinkedIn, I'm going to answer.
There we go. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Diane and Joe. Thank you so much, Techleap, for bringing us together today in this RISE session. It's been a real delight. Thank you for that. Actually, this is not the last session for the Techleap webinar. That is going to continue this afternoon and tomorrow. Some highlights there on the program. We're going to do a fundraising session tomorrow, as well as a closing session about scaling champions and scaling like a champion. We're going to listen to Kat Bolongan, who's with La French Tech, sort of the sister organization for Techleap in France, and she's been working on that for a bit longer. And also Reid Hoffman and Chris Yee. are going to speak about scaling champions there as well. It's been a pleasure to moderate this session. Thank you so much. And come find me on the water if you ever need a break away from, the strenuous work of building, scaling companies and doing that. I'll take you out flying on a flightboard, and it's a really great way to clear the mind. Thank you both. Good luck with the program, and looking forward to staying connected.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.